That's one off my back.
2 more to go. He's in real trouble, Captain.
I can't take another hit.
The Skycrawlers was one I actually picked up not too super long ago from the $1.25 tree. It's a film I've heard about since it's directed by Mamoru Oshii, who also directed Ghost in the Shell and Angel's Egg. So when I saw it at the Dollar Tree, I was pretty excited. The film is basically about a pilot during a war between 2 factions getting assigned to a new base. From there, the pilot meets other pilots and their captain. All the pilots are basically kids called Kildrens. Kildrens are basically people who stay young forever. You learn that the war is basically between 2 companies rather than 2 countries, but without spoiling the film, there's much more that's presented here. Honestly, this is a film that goes very deep into the philosophy of war, exploring many themes such as military indoctrination of children, PTSD and how that carries throughout time, how war strips the innocence of youth, how war affects the people around not only the soldiers but the communities around that conflict, how war is necessary to keep peace around the world, how war is a never-ending cycle, and how those in conflict can never really escape that conflict. For the Kildren, pretty much the only release from the graps of the war is death. These themes are not easy ones to process, but are presented carefully throughout the film. The opening set piece being a thrilling dogfight in the air, silent but the roar of the planes and the screams of gunfire throws you right into the mix out of the gate. It's honestly an amazing opening sequence. And the film comes back around to almost end on the exact same style of scene, mirroring the opening, which for me cemented the whole idea that the war is a never-ending cycle. You could argue that on a second watch, that you're actually not watching the same film, but the cycle repeating, which is something I found to be rather profound. Editor's note, I'm sitting here editing footage for the Skycrawlers review when I'm cutting up the movie, and I realize, hey, there's a post-credit scene that is really important to the overall message of the story. So if you're watching this movie, definitely check out the post-credit scenes. It really cements that idea of this being a never-ending cycle, so check it out. There's honestly not a lot of action in this film, but when the action is here, it's enthralling and exhilarating. The dogfights feel almost like a ballet of death in the sky that hits hard as the bullets shear through metal and flesh, coating the cockpits in crimson red. While yes, there's downtime from these set pieces, we spend that time with the characters to get a lot of development. You truly learn what these people are like, their habits, and how much conflict has affected them. The captain clearly struggles with PTSD. Our main character Yuichi's roommate constantly drinks or spends time with women to ease his mind. Yuichi honestly walks around rather void, everything coming off as usual, almost like he never expects anything bad to happen, and he's almost innocent in nature, which allows the back end of the film, with its soft twist, I guess you could call it, to hit hard when it's revealed. In terms of the story and pacing, it's beautifully executed. However, this film has some major issues for me when it comes to some of its presentation. I'll start off with the music. I do like the music on a composition standpoint. It's music that I would honestly listen to outside of the film. However, the music feels incredibly misfitting with the film and its tone. The music almost feels like something more akin to a lighthearted medieval fantasy story rather than a dour military drama. We see the opening set piece that's brutal and gripping, and then it cuts to the credits and we get this. It's really jarring to me and doesn't seem to fit the film thematically at all. There are a few instances where the score seems to fit, but for the most part I found it constantly distracting. I also found the animation to be really inconsistent. I will say, this film looks great in the sense of cinematography. The framing, what they choose to present on screen and how it's positioned. The animation though is a blend of 2D and 3D animation, which can look great. We've seen it well done in Disney and DreamWorks movies, but I've always found that in Japanese animation, for some reason, they don't seem to blend it as well, and that's kind of the case here. Pretty much all the vehicles is 3D, including the planes, and when it's all you see on the film, it looks stunning. Again, those dogfights look absolutely amazing. The 2D animation though is honestly what I have the biggest hang up with. Yes, it does stand out like a sore thumb compared to the 3D animation, but it isn't a smooth 2D animation. The characters' movements are stiff, but the part that kept pulling me out was the facial animations, or the lack thereof. Pretty much every character sports the same facial expression for the entire movie, no matter what they're talking about or what's happening. There's a scene where Yuichi goes from his 1,000-yard stare into a smile, and the character just holds that expression long after the emotions passed. This is just an example, but the entire film is like this. I get it if you want to have more muted expressions. It fits with the theme of the film, but there's a lot of moments where the dialogue and story is expressing emotion, even through the voice actors' performances, but the animation carries none of it across. It is distracting and takes away from some of the impact of the drama when you're presenting these philosophical themes and the characters more or less just have a blank stare or stuck expressions. It's not enough to ruin it by any means, but it definitely lessens the impact. Overall though, I really did enjoy the Skycrawlers. There's a lot to chew on here, and the film does a great job at telling a story and presenting all of these different philosophical messages to make you think long after the credits roll. It has some amazing dogfights and it's definitely worth a watch, and I'm giving this one an 8 out of 10.